I Should Be Writing, Season 21, Episode 5.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
Hi there, welcome to I Should Be Writing. This is a podcast for wannabe fiction writers. I'm your host, Mur Lafferty. I've been doing this show for almost 20 years. I've had about 8 or 9 books written and published. My next book comes out in early July. My next book to turn in is due in October. And that's what's going on with me. I have no guest this week, so there's not going to be an interview. I have some coming up soon. Yeah, it's on the calendar. I can't remember who, of course. I spent a lot of time today working on all the admin around my show, because I think about what other people have done in a tenth of the time that I've done while podcasting. You know, a lot of admin stuff, a lot of promotion stuff, taking your podcast and jazzing it up for YouTube, or mine just kind of goes there and sits. So, you know, step one of what I can do to improve the show's appearance is know what I'm going to do ahead of time. The fact that I'm still going by the seat of my pants after so many years is a little scary. But preparation is also scary to the ADHD brain. But my goal is to come up with like a month's plan and promote the hell out of that and see what happens. If you are new to the show, I stream this live on Twitch Thursdays, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And then I clean it up and put it on the feed. The full extended uncut version will be available to my premium supporters over at patreon.com/mightymur, or you could just come and listen live for free, or you can listen to the VOD. I think the VOD's up for 2 weeks. Any other affiliates in the chat can help me confirm that. I think it's up for 2 weeks. But I just made the decisions to do that today. Oh, hi. I've been found. I can turn on dog cam now if she'll settle down. Hi. She just noses the whole thing open. Let's see. Don't go anywhere. Don't go. So she just noses the door open, checks to see if I'm here. All is well with the world, and then she's gone. Sorry. God. Come back, doggo. I know. She did come back. Okay. Where's there she goes. Settling down. Okay. There we go. There's the doggo. But I have no TREATS up here. So we can't do that channel spending. But everything is getting slowly back to where it needs to be. I can stream Switch games now. The dog cam is set up. Next, I think, will be to get I'm pointing at something you guys can't see. My desk top-down camera going for some story engine stuff. And I think what I'm going to do today after our main part of the show is unboxing this thing. So, Lore Master Deck finally arrived. I supported this thing, a year ago or something? So I have not opened it yet. I'm very excited. So I think I might unbox it here. But that'll be later. So I was reading about a recent issue of Writer's Digest has done, talked about not cozy fantasy, just cozies. And I read it very, very interested. And mostly what it talked about was mystery. Actually, I'm not sure if it talked about any fantasy or science fiction, just mystery. But it did... talked about why Christmas romances are so popular. And I mean, I love Christmas romances. I don't even read romance usually. I don't read a lot of real world fiction. It just doesn't interest me as much. If someone's going to have a mundane problem, I still want it to be in a pretty interesting escapism bow. That's what I'm trying to say. Because I remember somebody was saying, God, there were a couple of books out 10 years ago about mothers of teen children having wild, weird adventures, and like non-traditional parents, like artists and people who don't cook for bake shows. And it's supposed to be really funny. And Jen, my agent at the time, said I should read one. All it did was fill me with stress, because I could relate to all the problems she was having, but I was not the person who could go off and have the adventures she was having. I was just stressed. So often when I see any sort of slapstick kind of domestic thing like that, it stresses me out. I don't know why. I don't know. That said, the quote-unquote drama, the woman across the street from the girl in the window or something, it's a Kristen Bell pseudo drama about a woman who thinks they're spoofing all of the, woman thinks she sees a murderer, and oh my gosh, what happens? And it's really funny. But it's played completely straight. Like when she takes her wine glass and pours an entire bottle of wine into it, and then, takes it to the window so she can watch out the window. And she keeps trying to take a Corningware casserole across the street, and it keeps falling and breaking. It's very dramatic every time. I'm getting off topic. Christmas romances. Yes, wow, that was a big tangent. I'm sorry. Okay. Christmas romances, I love them because I love Christmas, and a lot of times the spirit of the season mixed with romance works for me. Sometimes it doesn't. And so I was thinking, what do holidays tell us when you say you're writing, a Christmas romance is not a romance. I mean, yes, it's got a happily ever after. It has to follow the rules of romance, but putting Christmas into it is not just, time of year. So I brainstormed and I came up with how to put holidays into your story, like what that holiday conveys to your reader. I will give you many caveats. I am coming from a lapsed Christian upbringing. I have friends who are of many faiths, but I don't know any of their holy days well enough to be able to do this kind of exercise. Let's see. And as I said, lapsed, so I am not going to go into the faith-focused holiday books. And what was the last one? Oh, yes. I am not necessarily I have the complicated experience with the military of I don't like nationalism or glorifying the military, but still, great admiration and concern for people who've actually done it. I just don't like that. So I did not say this to get off on an awkward tangent, but just to say when I get to the parts like Memorial Day and 4th of July and stuff, I'm not going to go heavily into patriotism. I'm going to go into what people usually do on those days. So it was interesting going through this thing. I think I came up with some things that I did not expect. So I'm going to start with Christmas because that's my favorite. And Another thing, a lot of the things I'm going to reference here will be movies, and that is because of the unfortunate fact that like 1 million people seeing a movie is a flop. 1 million people buying your book is an unprecedented blockbuster. So if I say the name of a movie, there's a bigger chance that a lot of you will have either seen it or know of it. But they're all stories. So Christmas and New Year's bring about a sense of mystery, wish fulfillment, and rebirth. And the two stories that come to mind of being kind of strange, but still about rebirth, are ones that claim to be Christmas movies, but barely feature Christmas at all. And that is The Holiday, the 2005 rom-com with Kate Winslet, and I mix her up with Gwyneth Paltrow all the time. Crap. Jude Law. He's in it too. But not Gwyneth Paltrow. Cameron Diaz. I think I'm right. Okay. And it's they switch houses for the holiday season, like the whole season of Christmas, or rather the whole week of Christmas. And while the one who vacations in LA does meet a Jewish neighbor and enjoy one feast of Hanukkah, they don't actually talk about Christmas at all. And I don't even know what day of her story is on Christmas. It ends at New Year's and the party they throw. And that is the sense of rebirth. The things are going to be different from now on. What's interesting is with those couples, you're not sure how, but they all take a new step of accepting themselves, accepting someone new in their lives. They all still live very far away from each other. But I think we're meant to think that they work it out. And that's the rebirth. The other one is, oh, thank you, Doranbet. I apologize if I got that wrong. The other one would be The Last Holiday with Queen Latifah. And that one's really interesting. Oh, yeah, Crystal Brower. Jude Law was in The Holiday with Cameron Diaz, Kate Winslet, and Jack Black. Yeah, sorry. Lost my train of thought. Yeah, in The Last Holiday, I mean, the main character, Georgia, is very religious. You know, she sings for her gospel choir. She references or speaks to God many times in the movie. But we don't see Christmas either. She gets a medical diagnosis. She's going to die. She pulls all the money out of the bank and goes to have a grand European adventure. And for the week of Christmas. And Christmas isn't even mentioned. It's like, it's all decorated. It's nice. But it also ends on New Year's Eve and has that sense of rebirth. So when you want to write, when you want to put Christmas and or New Year's in your story, you think about rebirth. You think about something, even if it's not magical, you think of something happening that you don't actually believe could. Like in Home Alone when he convinces the scary old man to reunite with his family. So let's go to Valentine's Day. Because Valentine's Day is a holiday typically for lovers, if Valentine's Day is featured, then I kind of see it as that's going to be about a lot of change. And not like the typical your character has to change kind of thing, but if they're in a relationship at the beginning of the story on Valentine's Day, they're probably not going to be the same at the end, or they will have gone through a great deal of trauma and possibly one breakup or separation or whatever. And if they're not coupled with somebody, they probably will be at the end. Valentine's Day is interesting, though, because you've got so many people who have railed against it because it's not very friendly to single people. So you've got like Valentine's Day, where you hang out with all your girlfriends. I can see like a Tiffany Haddish type of all-girl Valentine's trip kind of thing, not being about love or great change. But typically, if you do focus on Valentine's Day, there's going to be a very large change, in my opinion. I question whether I should do St. Patrick's Day, because it's not a terribly important holiday, depending on where you are in the world. It used to be really special to me because that is when my local comic book store would have its yearly sale. And it was a huge sale. So the owner was Irish, and he decided he was going to go all out on St. Patrick's Day. So I haven't seen a lot of movies with St. Patrick's Day focused, but I believe it does represent letting go, because usually it's about drinking. I'll also admit that I am basing some of this on the movie The Holidate. I think that's Netflix, which is a story about a couple who decide to be each other's date just for holidays, so they don't have to go around feeling bad because they're single. And so pretty much every month they get together and they do whatever adventure it is to do on that holiday. So they start with New Year's Eve. And on St. Patrick's Day, they do end up, there's more drinking, there's letting go, there's finding out secrets. Not a whole lot of secrets because it's early in the movie, but there are some. So I think whether it's literal just relaxing and getting drunk and possibly making bad decisions, or it's symbolic of letting go of something, I think that's what St. Patrick's Day can add to your story. I wrote all this stuff down, y'all. I never write stuff down. I sometimes write stuff down. I often write stuff down. What's next? Easter, again, I am not really someone that celebrates it or has in a while, but for me, it really has a very strong childhood nostalgia, not always great nostalgia. And I believe rebirth as well, because that's what the Easter holiday is about. But you don't find, New Year's is when people try to renew themselves, and which is a kind of rebirth. And you don't see a whole lot of people doing their dry post-Easter month or something, but it's supposed to be about rebirth. Again, I don't know enough I haven't read a lot of books about Easter, but this is what the holiday makes me think of if I think about its role in a story. Okay, I'm going to get to the 4-day weekends, because we have Labor Day, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, and I guess Martin Luther King Day. But that's often more, to me, it doesn't feel lumped in with the others. But while, Memorial Day is supposed to be about the fallen, and Veterans Day is supposed to be about the ones who survived, and Labor Day is about workers, let's be honest, what it really represents to at least the American sensibility is a 3-day weekend. And so putting the 3-day weekend in your story usually means that you're going to be planning something and it's going to go way off the rails. If you've got like only a limited amount of time to have one fun experience or one serious experience, it's going to go beyond that, or it's going to threaten to go beyond that. So that is when you get, a trip down the road turns into a trip across the country or something like that. But 3-day weekends are interesting. I didn't include the 4th of July there, I guess because that happens anywhere. That can happen at any time of the week, I'm trying to say. And you get, that always represents, like, to me, getting together with family, whether you like it or not, and explosions. So it is a good holiday for dealing with familial stress within your story. Also, depending on where you are in the United States will matter. Because, if you've got... No, actually, where you are in the world. Because I remember I had one 4th of July out of the United States. And I was in the Soviet Union. And we were on a river boat. And there was a band there, and we asked them to play Star Spangled Banner. We were 17 and not very smart, if they knew it. And then they played Happy Birthday. So that's what we got. The reason I said where in the United States matters, because if you are experiencing the 4th of July in the Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Arlington area will be very different than experiencing it in Boone, North Carolina. And what city has the economic ability to have a fireworks show? So those are things in where the holiday becomes a major part of the setting in that case. What else do I have? Halloween. Halloween is for something unexpected. It is where, yes, there might be the slapstick, again, taken literally. You don't know who someone is because of the mask, and therefore let down your guard or allow yourself to do something inadvisable, but it's often about something unexpected happens. If you want to take it into the horror realm, it's an interesting line to walk. I don't know how many of you are Buffy the Vampire Slayers fans, but there was the time in that show where they said Halloween is actually a very low activity night for monsters because there's just so much crap around that they just want to be hands off. They don't want to be wandering around with people clearly mocking them, whether the person knows the monsters are real or not. But then you've got, Halloween. So, like the movie, I mean. So that's a lot of stuff. And the fact that there are lots of people going either door to door for themselves, door to door with their children, to Halloween parties. The fact that there will be some element of something unexpected happening is very high. And remember, you can start or end your story in any of these holidays, and still they would have, you can use that for effect. And lastly, for Americans, was that one of my caveats? I can't remember. Also, caveat, I'm American and I'm going to be speaking to American holidays, but you probably already figured that. Thanksgiving is an interesting time to set your story in because it almost always, it's a family-oriented holiday, and that's either your blood family or a found family. If it's a blood family, there's going to be a great deal of interpersonal conflict that may or may not be resolved. If it's found family, it could also do that, but it's not, you don't really expect that. You expect much more of an acceptance type atmosphere with the found family. But with Thanksgiving, there's often a sense of forgiveness or catharsis and growth that comes out of that. I remember my husband and I saw Home for the Holidays. I mean, I'm talking, this came out late 90s, I think. Where, again, woman going home for the holidays and just all the terribleness that happens with that. But it's not, some of it's funny, but some of it's not. Like her perfect sister with the perfect children and perfect hairdo and perfect husband and life really falling apart for her, but boy, she's going to keep it perfect, is a very sad figure who doesn't change. I think I've seen this movie twice, maybe, and it stuck with me, but not in the best way, because I remember just being amazed that, oh, there were some of these relationships that were not resolved. Like, near the end, she's trying to talk to her sister when her sister's on a stair machine, and her sister's just like, can you leave me alone? This is the only thing I have for me that I like. And just in her basement on a stair machine alone. That was kind of shut the door on that character. You know, the characters are supposed to change in their stories, and this one was not gonna. So it can be a forgiveness, it can be a catharsis, it can be a coming out or finally speaking up about something that has always bothered you, or somebody getting drunk and revealing a family secret. So that's the catharsis part. What happens after that? Well, that's your job as the writer. Is it going to be a story of forgiveness, or is it going to be more catharsis, like throwing things and leaving early? I leave that up to you. And I wish I knew or had read more books about other or seen stories with other holidays, but I have not had that very deep immersion as you just have in a Judeo-Christian country. But I have read a couple of Hanukkah romances. I think that's about as far as I've gone with like romance stories. But I need to read wider. Anyway, I think I've done all of my notes here. If you guys have any questions or thoughts about putting holidays in your stories and what you expect or want them to bring to your story, let me know in chat or email me later and I can answer on the next show. But I think after talking about all this, I like Christmas romances because a lot of them are about rebirth. And romances have gotten more interesting and complex in the past couple of years as they feature the main character, usually a woman, as someone who's deeply flawed, and she's not going to be able to get a romantic life together until she can get the other parts of her life together. And so it's more of a story about her growth than a love story. Engaging with the holidays definitely feels like a way to develop world and character. Yes, kids are asleep. That's a good point, because how your characters react to the holiday is also a big part of the story. I have a character worksheet that I have that has you go through all your main characters in your story and write out what happens if they're at a restaurant and a waiter spills a glass of water on them. Because all your characters probably should react in a slightly different way. It's like one of those core things that's going to drive. It's a reacting to something, cold water splashing on you unexpectedly. Everyone's going to act in a very visceral and the words are gone. Shit. Sorry. A deep internal visceral reaction. they going to forgive the waiter? Are they going to call the manager? Are they going to jump up and upset everything else the waiter's carrying on purpose or accident? Are they going to demand that the waiter buy them something new if their stuff was ruined or something? It's everyone's going to react to that in a different way. Another way you can do this is have everybody, and this is like a exercise for you, not necessarily something to put in your book, but for you, knowing how people are going to react to the water, but also knowing how everybody feels about a holiday and how much baggage they have from their childhood, if any. Also, doing having people completely be fish out of water with your holiday can be entertaining. I remember a guy my kid found a post by a Muslim man who said, I had to stay in the United States over the Christmas holiday, over lockdown, and I'd never experienced Christmas before. And I did not realize it's a part-time job because, over the Christmas season, do you want to hang out? Do you want to just watch some TV? No. I got to hang lights, or I got to go to this party, or I got to do something. And I never thought of it that way, but he saw it as a part-time job because there's a lot of stuff to do around Christmas. And so having, the person from the outside coming in to experience the holiday is another way to explore what it could mean to people. Kids Are Asleep says a lot of love-hate Christmas stories out there, but what about hating Halloween, New Year's, etc.? Yes. Ian says, to be honest, I can't watch romantic comedy movies. They just make me depressed. That's fair. Not just baggage, but the specific kind of baggage. Yes, Valerie, it's, there could be I always dreamed of a Red Ryder BB gun and I never got it. And every time I think about that, I'm sad. And then there's, mom left dad on Christmas Eve kind of baggage. Well, if there are no questions, I think I'm going to take a quick break. And for those of you listening on the feed later, thank you for listening. Try to catch me on Twitch live, twitch.tv/MightyMur, Thursdays at 3 p.m., where you can get the other half of this, or you can support at patreon.com, where you can get a whole lot more content. I've been doing this for 20 years, people. There's a lot of content out there. And you can get the extended episodes as well, because you'll get to at least hear what I'm going to be revealing in unpacking the Story Engine Lore Master.
Thank you for listening to I Should Be Writing, the longest running writing podcast in existence. Theme music provided by John Anelio, art provided by Numbers Ninja, and podcast hosting provided by Libsyn. This episode is released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 license. You can find all of my books and podcasts at murverse.com.
I should be writing. I should be working on my craft.
They don't say, yeah.